Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Here.
Director Wilson.
Here.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Augustin.
Here.
Director Moore. Here. Director Edwards.
Here.
And President Bradley.
We have a quorum. I'll call the meeting in order.
From the President. Wait a minute. It was recommended that the board reject the bid for letting number 8660 asphalt overlay Terminal 1 exit roadways, St. Louis Lambert International Airport, and that the project be rebidded at a later date. The project has a construction estimate of $110,000. One bid was received at that time in excess of the construction estimate. Addendum number 1 to the plans and specifications for letting number 8667, Shoto, Compton Hill, and DeSoto Parks decorative lighting, project number R 2014-87-181, St. Louis, Missouri. Supplemental agreement to the airport aid agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission recommends approval. Cooperation agreement between Metropolitan Parks and Recreation District, doing business as the Great River Greenway District, and the City of St. Louis for construction, operation, and maintenance of Gravois Greenway, Weber Road to River de Pere Greenway. Memorandum of agreement between Forest Park Forever, Inc. and City of St. Louis, acting through the Board of Public Service for repairs to the pedestrian bridge over MetroLink in Forest Park, recommends approval. Recommendation that the board declares as the emergency action East Climate Control Theater System replacement at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. From the President, Director of Public Utilities and Streets. Joint recommendation that permit for general service administration to make public improvements at Robert A. Young Federal Building be approved subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits for MCI Metro access be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. 2-inch HDPE pipe to be placed for fiber cable starting at handhole, sheet 217 in front of 5900 Arsenal, placed in prior permit, bore 1,418 feet west along the south side of Arsenal, and place handhole sheet 219 in front of 6098 Arsenal, etc. 2-inch HDPE pipe to be placed for fiber cable starting at existing handhole located in front of 4304 Eichelberger, bore 404 feet northwest along the south side of street to side of 5404 Gravois. MoDOT permit applied for Gravois crossing and handhole separately, etc. 2-inch pipe to be placed for fiber cable starting at existing handhole on the corner of 4245 Gustine Avenue, bore 1,862 feet southeast along the west side of Gustine, and place handhole across street of 4550 Gustine, etc. Bore and place 1 2-inch conduit and handholds for new fiber starting on the east side of Edward Jones Dome. Pull fiber through existing conduit heading north to the intersection of Cole Street. At that point, turn west and continue pulling fiber through existing conduit to the south side of intersection of 7th and Cole. At that location, place a new handhole near 1000 North 7th Street. 1 2-inch conduit for new fiber starting at city limits along Valley Drive near 9834 Valley Drive. Continue placing south to the southeast side of intersection of Riverview and Valley Drive. Place new handhole and continue northeast to the rear of 9910 Parkway Drive and place a new handhole. Continue along Riverview Drive to 9947 Riverview Drive and place a new handhole and continue along Riverview Drive to the southeast corner of Southeast Chambers to near 14 Chambers Road and place a new handhold, etc. Charter Communications starting at pole behind 3645 Page, North Spring Avenue, riser down and bore southwest down street in grass area 24 feet. turning board cross drive behind Walgreens to the building 25 feet and put a MDU box on the building from back of the building. Bore west, southwest 44 feet to the edge of grass between Page and the building. Turn southeast in the grass area between Walgreens and Page to front corner of building. Should be on private property. Charter Communications cut a 2 feet by 2 feet pothole at the base of pole in the rear of 2308 South Grand. Bore in northbound direction 71 feet towards Shenandoah. Bore an additional 66 feet under Shenandoah from the south side right-of-way to the north side right-of-way to the north side right-of-way, exiting in the grass on customers' property. CenturyLink. This project to provide fiber optic connectivity from an existing CenturyLink splice manhole at 900 Walnut Street to an existing CenturyLink splice manhole at 500 North Broadway, etc. Union Electric Company, doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to construct new conduit duct bank, approximately 31 linear feet of open trench construction at 1212 North 22nd Street, intersection of North 22nd and Division Street. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. America Real Estate to consolidate land at 4200, 4204, 4212 through 14, and 4230 through 32 Gravois, and 4096 and 4098 Merrimack, and City Block 6328 be approved subject to certain conditions. Pablo and Turaldi and Lindsay Street to consolidate land at 2711 and 2715 Wyoming and City Block 1759. GFB Commercial LLC to subdivide land at 6916 and 6924 Morgan Ford Road in City Block 5885. Brian and Jackie Bull for a boundary adjustment at 4341 Westminster Place in City Block 4581 North. From the Director of Public Safety, recommendation that permit for the Three Rivers Inn for a request of a parking waiver at 1420 through 26 North Broadway be approved. Recommendation that the following festival zones be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. STL Open Streets, June 2nd, 2018 at Compton from Cherokee to Merrimack and Marquette and Gravois Parks. Atomic Cowboy Block Party, June 3rd, 2018, Talmadge between Broadway and the alley behind Atomic Cowboy. Pooh's Corner Bar, June 9th, 2018, Fillmore between Virginia and Vermont. Juneteenth celebration, June 15th through 17th, 2018, at Fountain Park. Taste of Downtown, June 16th through 17th, 2018, at Keener Plaza, no street closures. Grove Pride, June 23rd, 2018, at Manchester from Sarah to Shoto and Sarah from Shoto to Vandervender. Pride Fest, June 23rd through 24th, 2018, Memorial Parks adjacent to Soldiers Memorial, Market Street, Chestnut, 14th and 13th, Festival site. Parade on Market between 18th and Broadway. Grub and Groove, August 11, 2018, at Francis Park and Donovan between Lauren and Delora. We now have the conditional uses.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Terrell Island, zoning plan examiner for the City of St. Louis, representing the building commissioner. Per board order number 766, transmitted herewith are recommendations for the following conditional use applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 8 applications, and they are 5257 Page Boulevard, 4400 Richard Place, 5051 Thrush Avenue, 5930 Era Avenue, 6836 Filer Avenue, 4639 San Francisco Avenue, 2501 through 05 North Grand Boulevard, and 5514 Lillian Avenue. Are there any questions? or comments, I request that these recommendations be approved as submitted.
Are there any questions from the board on the conditional uses? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve the conditional uses.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval of today's conditional uses. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Augustin.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Edwards.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, today's conditional uses are approved. Turn your attention to our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes as presented?
I move to approve last week's minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval of the minutes. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Augustin.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Edwards. And President Bradley.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Last week, we had a public hearing on rules and regulations for horse-drawn vehicles in the city of St. Louis, and that item was tabled. I would like to ask the board for a motion to untable for discussion.
Mr. President and members of the board, I'd like to untable the rules and regulations regarding horse-drawn carriages and open it up for discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded is untabled. I'd like to just preface and say we had a very good public hearing last week. We had a number of individuals on both sides of the spectrum come in and talk to the board, and we heard a lot of different commentary. I would like to defer to the Director of Health if you would like to lead us off with any comments you have.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. I'd like to say, just echo what you're saying, that it was a great discussion and an opportunity for us to demonstrate to the public transparency in hearing their comments and concerns as it related to the animal welfare of the welfare of the horses that are in our city. I think that, as you said, there were comments from both sides. I think our charge is really to be very clear and detailed in our expectations as it relates to the expectations of the temperature, as well as the times of operations, as well as any training that is required of the carriage horse drivers, because it's about protecting the public's health and safety, as well as that of the driver and the welfare of the animal. So I think to continue that discussion here, to look at the legalities of where we are and what we should do is most appropriate.
So in your opinion, Director, do you feel like we are at a point where we can adopt some resolutions at this point, or does it need further discussion?
I believe that the recommendations that were brought before us last week is a great start. The majority of information is in there. I think as we go back and discuss a few of the details that came forward, we need to make sure we have that discussion and lay that detail out so it's very clear what the expectations are and there's no discrepancy between what was going on prior and what is expected moving forward.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from members of the board pertaining to last week's public hearing? Director?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think that all parties concerned with this issue have resolved the fact that there will be regulations. And I believe that even those that believe that there should not be any horse-drawn carriage in the city of St. Louis recognize that that's probably will not be the case, and that stringent regulations will be developed and enacted. I think that we have to be careful not to develop arbitrary regulations, and that I believe I asked or someone asked with respect to the industry's practice and the best practices, especially for time. Not time, but temperature, and I think is one of the big issues that we heard. So I think that we're not ready today, I believe, to to vote on implementing this. I think that we need to take a look at what is indeed the industry's practice, somewhere between 93 and 96, and determine what that should be. I think that the time of operating, I believe that's easily addressed, and of course we'll yield to our streets person on that in terms of whether these animals ought to be out during our rush hour. I think that's easily addressed. I think so. The one issue I think is going to be the temperature. I read what was provided to us, the guides, the guidelines, the proposed regulations. There were things contained therein that I thought were pretty onerous. For example, having a stand every few yards. I just think that is really, really onerous, and I think that we need to address whether we want to be an obstacle to these people engaging in their business, or whether we want to try to assist. And I tend to always fall on the latter, that we try to assist with very specific regulations.
Thank you for your comments, Director. Other comments?
I'd like to agree with what he just said and add on in the back. I'm concerned about our ability, I think, as the group spoke to us and expressed their concerns about things, having these guidelines, whatever they end up being, is the ability to enforce them. So I'm on the real world side of wanting to know if whatever we adopt, we have the ability to enforce it so it's fair for everyone and it's not spotty at best here or there, and some days we catch folks and some days we're not down there. I want to really talk about who is doing this so I have a better understanding of, I have inspectors that do enforcement of permits for blocking lanes and excavation and stuff like that, but I want to know if they have a role in this, if it's the health department or who are all involved, so I know, I have a better working understanding of how it'll be enforced, to be able to answer that question when we're asked that of this board.
Thank you for your comments, Director. Other comments? So with that in mind, it appears to me that we still have some work to do. We've began a process. We need to make sure that we do our diligence in order to make sure we have enforceable and proper safe guidelines and so forth. So we still have some work to do. So if there are no further comments, I would ask for a motion to table this item until such a time that we are ready to bring it off the table again.
So moved. I'd like to.
Moved and seconded for tabling. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Augustin.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Edwards.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. Tabled. Today's agenda. Questions or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, take a motion, please.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Augustin.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Edwards.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. The agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
Mr. President, prior to adjournment, can I just get some clarification
Yes.
on the tabling of the horse-drawn carriages? We're in the season where they would be out and operating. So I just need to clarify whether our action today prohibit or will continue to allow them to operate under the previous rules.
I will defer to the Director of Health on that question.
Right now, what we've been operating under is a commissioner's order, whereby the forecast by the National Weather Service of 93 degrees is in effect. Every morning at 7 o'clock, the carriage horse companies are notified when that forecast has been issued and informed that they cannot be on the streets for the day. And an email message is sent over to them. So right now, we're operating under the Commissioner's Order 1003, which was adopted in 2017 with the revision of the temperature being lowered to 93.
Continue to do so.
We will continue to do so until such time the regulations are passed and approved by this board.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
May I have a point of order too? I suggest that, I understand there's some emergency element to it because of the holiday, the summer vacationing coming up, but we should, in honor of transparency, as the Director Moore was saying, we should make sure that when it goes back on, that we get it on the agenda so the public has the ability to know that we're deciding.
Absolutely. Good comment. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the question. Are there any further questions? Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.